Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. As you come in, let me know where you're from. Where you watching from? Where you listening from? Let me know where you're from. Tell them where you're from. Um, this is Thursday. So on Thursdays, I give you my hot take on something. I go deep into my perspective about something. Um, and today I will be talking all about why waiting is the biggest lie in the online business space. Why ready is the biggest lie in the online business space. Hello. Thanks for joining. Welcome. I see you on YouTube. Yes, if you haven't already, go get your notebook and your pens. I will likely have a few minutes at the end of this conversation to have questions. So if at any moment questions come up during anything that I'm saying, just drop them in the chat and I will get to them as we roll along. Welcome. Thanks for joining. We are at the top of the hour, and I kind of gave you just a little bit of a teaser when I said that ready is the biggest lie in the online coaching space and in the online business space, because ready is a lie. And I don't mean that in a motivational poster way. I mean it literally. Ready, the word ready, the feeling of complete preparation, total confidence, zero doubt in ideal circumstances. Ready does not exist as a prerequisite for building anything worth building. It has never existed and it never will exist. And every day you spend waiting for ready is a day your prospective clients are spending their money with someone else who decided to start before they felt ready. And that isn't a mindset problem, y'all. It's a math problem. And today we are going to be doing some math. Welcome back to Nick at Noon. My name is Nick Scott. I'm a business coach who helps women use their existing skills to build sustainable online businesses without quitting their 9 to 5, without the hustle, the burnout, and the overwhelm. Today is Thursday. Happy Thursday. And today's hot take is one I get the most pushback on. And I get pushback on it because not because it's wrong, but because it makes people feel uncomfortable. And waiting until you're ready is costing you money. And in this episode, I'm going to prove it. So if you haven't already, go get your notebooks and pens, share this episode with your biz bestie, because we are going to get into it. And before I get too deep into this conversation, I do want to call out again, if you have any questions that come up as I'm going through any of this content, just drop it in the chat and I will get to it when we get to that point in the program. Is that okay with y'all? All right. So I want to start by dismantling the concept of readiness entirely, because I think we have built an entire culture around a feeling that is fundamentally misunderstood. And here's what most women think readiness is. They believe that readiness is a state you arrive at after sufficient preparation. Does that feel like a logical way to think about how most people think about ready? For example, if you study long enough, if you practice enough, if you research enough, if you plan enough, and at some point that preparation converts into a feeling of confidence and competence that signals you're ready to start. And more or less, by and large, that's how we were taught to think about readiness when we were in school, right? We were trained to do the work, to pass the test, and then we get to move on to the next level. We were trained and we were taught that ready it's actually earned through preparation. But Here's what readiness is in practice: it's a feeling that arrives only after you've already started. Ready is a feeling that has arrived only after you've already started. The feeling of readiness doesn't come before you start, it comes after you start. And the confidence you think you need in order to begin, it is the byproduct of the forward moving of beginning. So confidence is the byproduct of forward movement. And the feeling of readiness, it doesn't arrive before you start, it comes after you start. And the competence you think you need to demonstrate before you can charge for your coaching is built through, you guessed it, actually doing the coaching. It's not built through taking another course. It's not through getting another certification, or it's not built through another 6 months of preparation, right? So, what I'm saying isn't a controversial position in the research. It might feel controversial and it might feel like I'm ruffling some feathers, but psychologists have been writing about this for decades, y'all. They have been writing about the fact that action comes before motivation. They have been doing research on the fact that competence comes after practice. There's so much research out there about the fact that confidence is built through evidence, and evidence, it requires doing the thing, not preparing to do the thing. But here's the part where it does get a little controversial. I don't mind, rocking the boat a little bit. And this is the part where most coaches in this space, they'll tell you that you need to work on your mindset before you start. They'll tell you that you need to get your beliefs in order, that you need to heal your imposter syndrome, that you need to build the confidence foundation before you put yourself out there. And I'm going to tell you right now that that advice is backwards. And it's backwards because, not because mindset doesn't matter, because we all know that mindset matters. And in fact, in any of my programs, if you have ever coached with me one on one or in a group setting, you know that we do extensive mindset work because mindset does matter. But the advice to get that confidence foundation in place, it's backwards because the mindset work that produces lasting change is the mindset work you do within the context of taking action, not in a vacuum before you begin. Did y'all get that one? The advice is backwards because the mindset work that produces lasting change is the mindset work you do in the context of taking action. It doesn't happen in a silo and in isolation before you start. So, in other words, you cannot think your way into a new identity. I mean, you can visualize it, you can, think about it all day long, but it doesn't happen unless you act your way into one. Does that make sense? And the thing about it is, waiting until your mindset is perfect before you start is just a more sophisticated version of waiting until you're ready. And it's basically procrastination with a better vocabulary. So I want to be clear about something, very clear about something before somebody in the comments comes for me about this conversation. And the thing that I want to be clear is I am not saying preparation is worthless. I am not saying you should coach people on things that you know nothing about. I am not saying skip the learning and just wing it. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that there is a difference between preparation that serves your clients and preparation that protects you from the discomfort of starting. That's what I'm saying. And most women, especially the high achieving ones, We're expert at preparation. We are experts at preparation that protects us from the discomfort of starting. And here's what preparation that serves your clients looks like. Here's what it looks like. It looks like understanding the problem your clients have and understanding it deeply enough to ask good questions. That's what preparation that serves your clients looks like. It looks like having a framework or an approach that gives your coaching sessions structure. Preparation that serves your clients looks like knowing enough about your area of expertise and focus to recognize when a client needs something that you can't provide. This type of preparation, it looks like being clear on what you do offer and what you don't. And that preparation right there, it's real, it's necessary, and most women already have it from their years of experience. Now, on the other hand, I like to keep things balanced. On the other hand, preparation that protects you from starting, it looks a little something like this. Taking a fourth coaching certification because you're still not sure if you're qualified enough, spending 3 months perfecting your website before you've had a single sales conversation, building out a full content library before you've even made your first offer. It looks like rewriting your niche statement for the 14th time because it still doesn't feel quite right. Preparation that protects. It looks like creating a detailed launch plan for a program that hasn't been sold yet. It looks like researching your ideal client so thoroughly that the research itself becomes the work. And this second category of preparation that I just described, it has a name. And I call it productive procrastination because it looks like you're being productive, but you're still procrastinating. And it's one of the most effective ways professional women keep themselves from building anything because it looks like work. Productive procrastination, it feels like progress, y'all. Productive procrastination, it feels like progress because it generates a sensation of momentum without the vulnerability of putting yourself out there. So you feel like you're taking steps forward, but you're not actually putting yourself out there. So, what I want to do at this moment, and if you are taking notes, you might want to jot this down because I want to give you a simple test to see if you're operating right now, if you are operating in productive procrastination. So the test is simple. I want you to ask yourself, is the preparation that I'm doing, is it making me more capable of serving my clients or is it making me more comfortable with the idea of serving them someday? And this is a simple test because if the answer is the latter, if the answer is this, if the answer is the former or the latter, I'm sorry. I just got a message that popped up on my screen. If the message is the latter, that it's making you more comfortable with the idea of serving your clients someday, then you're not preparing, you're hiding. And the longer that you hide in preparation, the more expensive that hiding gets. The more expensive that hiding gets. Now, I said at the beginning of this conversation that we were going to do a little bit of math, and everybody knows, if you know me, that math is not something, it's not my strong suit, but I like to keep the numbers simple. I like to keep the numbers round. I like to do easy math. So let's go ahead and do this math that I promised we were going to do at the top of this conversation, because I think when you see the numbers or if you hear the numbers as I walk through them, The urgency becomes real in a way that this motivational talk that I'm having, it never quite achieves. So, are you ready? All right. Somebody drop math in the comments, drop math in the chat because we're about to get into it. So, let's say you've been thinking about starting your coaching business for 6 months. And I don't mean you've been casually thinking about it. I mean, you've been seriously thinking about it. Already been doing research, you've been planning, you've been taking courses here and there, you've been workshopping your niche, and you've been building your brand and visualizing your brand in your head. So you've spent 6 months getting ready to get ready. So now, here's where the math is coming in. Let's say your eventual coaching package, the one that you're visualizing, the one that you're planning for, the one that you're researching for, your coaching package that is going to come along someday is priced at $2,000. And that's a conservative number for a professional woman with real experience selling a 12-week coaching package. And let's say within those 6 months of preparation, the time that you were preparing to get ready, you could have realistically signed 2 clients. And that is a realistic number based on my experience and based on the experience of my past clients. So within those 6 months, you are spending getting ready to get ready. You could have signed 2 clients, not 10, not 20, but 2. And you realistically signed 2 people who needed what you have and who would have said yes if you had even made an offer. And that right there equates to $4,000 that's literally gone with the wind. Okay. And it's gone not because you weren't capable or because the market didn't want what you have. That $4,000 is gone with the wind because you were waiting until you felt ready. You were literally getting ready to get ready. Getting ready to get ready. Now, let's extend that math because you might be thinking, you know what, $4,000, that ain't enough to change my life. That's barely enough, to pay a month's worth of my bills. So let's extend this math. If you've been thinking about starting your coaching business for a year, that number doubles. If you've been thinking about it for 2 years, the number then starts to become significant. Or let's just say within 6 months, within a year, you can sign more than those 2 clients. You can sign 5 clients. See how that number starts to become significant? And let's be clear. I've spoken to women who have been circling and toying and going back and forth with the decision to start their online business for 2, 3, and even 4 years. Those numbers start to become significant. So the math doesn't become hypothetically significant, it becomes tangibly significant. Those numbers start to become numbers that can change your life, that can pay your bills, that can replace your income. That math becomes real money that you didn't earn because you were waiting for a feeling that was never going to arrive before you started. It was never going to arrive before you started because ready happens only after you start. It only happens after you start. And here's the part that makes all of this worse. The clients you didn't sign in those 6 months or in that year or in those 2 years, those clients didn't wait for you. They found someone else, or they figured it out on their own, or they stayed stuck a little longer because the person who was best positioned to help them, you were busy preparing to help them someday, not today. And that right there is the real cost of waiting. The numbers, they matter. I never want to minimize the fact that the money matters, because the money does matter, because like I always say, we have bills to pay, we have mouths to feed, we have, lives that we need to support. And The cost of waiting, it isn't just financial, it's also the people that you say you want to serve, but you didn't serve within that time. The cost of waiting is the problems that you don't solve. It's the impact that you didn't have because you weren't ready to have it. Now, if I haven't already, I want to say something else that might hit a little hard for some of you that are either watching this live or watching the replay. And I want to say it with compassion because I personally have been in this exact position myself. And the thing is, your preparation is sometimes your avoidance. Your research is sometimes your resistance. And your planning is sometimes your fear, but it's wearing a pair of productive stilettos. And the longer you let these actions masquerade as responsibility, the more expensive these things get. The more expensive these things get. And if you don't wear stilettos, if you don't wear stilettos, your planning is fear wearing whatever it is, the thing that you wear, a comfortable pair of joggers, your Jordans, your vest, your coat, your snuggie if you still have one. The point of the matter is, the longer you let these actions disguise themselves and pretend that it's responsibility, the cost becomes more and more and more expensive. And here's another thing that I want to say that most other coaches won't say. And this one right here is a little hard for me to even put out there into the internet because it's something that I don't think a lot of people even realize. And that is, the coaching industry has a vested interest in your preparation phase lasting as long as possible. And I want you to think about that for a second. Because every month you spend getting ready to start your coaching business, it's a month that you might buy another course. It's a month that you might purchase into obtaining another certification. It's another month that you might buy another program about how to build a program. It's another month you might join a membership in a community of people who are also doing what? Getting ready to get ready. The preparation economy is lucrative. I mean, this industry, this online coaching industry, it is a $5 billion plus industry for a reason. It is a $1 billion industry for a reason. The preparation economy within this industry, it is lucrative and it's sustained by the belief that you are not ready yet. It is sustained by the belief that you need one more thing to be ready. The preparation economy is sustained by the belief that you need one more credential, one more framework, or one more piece of the puzzle before you can legitimately call yourself a coach and charge for it. And every time you buy that next preparation thing, you are funding an industry that profits from your delay. And I'm not saying that all courses are predatory, because they're not. And I'm not saying that certifications are worthless, because clearly they're not. I'm not saying that the coaches who sell preparation products, that they're doing it to be cynical, because some of them genuinely believe in what they're selling. But the net effect of a culture that constantly tells women they need more, they need more, they need more before they start is a culture full of overprepared, under earning women who have been getting ready for years and building for months. And here's the other thing about all this: you don't need more preparation, you need more action. Somebody drop action in the chat. You need more action. Specifically, you need the action of making an offer to a real person and experiencing what happens on the other side of that. Because that experience, the yeses you'll get, the nos you'll get, the conversations you'll have, the negotiations that happen, the first client that you'll sign, the first session that you show up for, the first result that you achieve, that experience teaches you more in 30 days than 6 months of preparation ever could. Plus, when you get to earn while you learn. How many of y'all want to earn, earning while you learn? Raise your hand if you want to earn while you earn while you learn. And and that's the part the preparation economy never tells you. That you have the space, the place, the skills to earn while you learn. You have the skills to build the plane while you're literally flying it. And y'all know I never want to just leave you with the diagnosis, right? Every time I come into these conversations, I want to give you something actionable to do with it. So I want to tell, if you were my client, I want to tell you what I would tell her. I want to tell you what I would tell any woman who's been in preparation mode and she's ready to get out of it. So if you are in preparation mode and you're ready to get out of it, here's what I would tell you. I would tell you a few things. And the first thing that I would tell you is to get honest about what it is that you're waiting for. I want you to get honest with yourself about what it is that you're waiting for. Are you waiting for a certification, or are you waiting for the feeling of certainty that you think the certification will produce? I want you to get honest with yourself about what it is you're waiting for. Are you waiting for your website to be finished, or are you waiting until you feel visible enough that having a website makes sense? Are you waiting until your niche is clear, or are you waiting until the idea of committing to a specific person with a specific problem feels less terrifying? Get real with yourself. I would tell her, if you were my client, I would tell you to get honest with yourself about the real reason you're stuck in preparation mode. Because the fact of the matter is, you can't solve the stated reason and expect the real one to go away. So, the second thing that I would tell you, if you were my client and you are in preparation mode and you're ready to get out of it, the second thing that I would tell you is to identify the smallest possible action that moves you from preparation to the reality of having a coaching business. And I'm not recommending the action of the full launch or the complete program or the finished website or the polished brand or the perfect content strategy. I'm talking about the smallest possible action. And that is one conversation with one person about one problem that you know how to solve. That right there, that is the action that I'm talking about. Because that conversation, that single real human interaction, that right there is the bridge between preparation and practice. And once you've crossed that bridge, the next action becomes easier. Somebody drop action in the chat. And after you After you've crossed that bridge a second time, that's the action after that. It becomes even easier. So, the third thing that I would tell you if you were my client and you've been in preparation mode, but you're ready to get started, is to set a deadline. Set a deadline. Not a soft someday when I feel ready deadline, a real deadline. I would tell you if you were my client to set a specific date by which you will have had that first conversation that I just talked about. I would tell her that to set a date where you've made the first offer, where you have sent that first email to someone in your network who has the problem you solve. Because deadlines make preparation finite. And if you're like me, I am super deadline oriented and super deadline driven. And if you're like me, if you don't have a deadline, preparation expands to fill whatever time you give it. I know that I am not the only one who has that pattern. But if you're like me, when you have a specific deadline, the preparation, it has an endpoint. And that endpoint is where the real work starts. That endpoint is where the real work starts. Now, I told y'all I was going to give you my hot take on this Thursday. I told y'all I was going to do it. Is she really going to do it? Yeah, she did it. So now I want to switch gears a little bit. And I want to talk about where the blueprint advantage fits into this conversation, because I think there's a version of what I just said that could be heard as just go do something, figure it out as you go, or preparation is useless. And that's not what I'm saying. There is a baseline of clarity that makes everything else work better together. And it's clarity around knowing who you serve, knowing what problem you solve, knowing how to talk about what you do in a way that makes the right person immediately recognize herself. It's clarity around knowing how to structure an offer that's sellable, deliverable, and priced at what it's worth. And that clarity is not an optional step in getting out of preparation mode. Clarity is actually the foundation of it. And the blueprint advantage is designed to give you that foundation. It's designed to give it to you fast. It's not going to take you 6 months of workshopping to get that foundation. It's not another 12-week program that you need to complete before you're allowed or given permission to start. The Blueprint Advantage is a focused, practical mini course, and it gets you clear on the fundamentals so that the action you take is grounded in something real rather than feeling like you're throwing a bunch of spaghetti noodles at the wall to see what sticks. And there's a difference between starting without a foundation and starting with a starting without a foundation and starting with a lean, clear foundation. And the blueprint advantage is the lean, it is the clear, and it is the foundation. It's the preparation that serves your client, not the preparation that protects you from starting. And the whole idea and the whole premise behind this mini course is to get you through it and into action as fast as possible. Remember, we talked about the smallest possible action that you can take, because the learning that matters most happens on the other side of the start. If you're watching on YouTube, the link for the Blueprint Advantage is in the description, or you can visit my website at herincomeedits.com. Now, I started this conversation with 4 words, and I'm going to say those 4 words again. Ready is a lie. And I'm not saying it again because I want you to feel bad about the next time or about the time that you have already spent preparing. I'm saying it because I want you to feel the freedom of what it means. Because if ready doesn't exist as a prerequisite, then there's nothing standing between you and beginning, between you and starting, except the decision to start. If the competence and confidence and certainty you've been waiting for are on the other side of that start, then there is nothing standing between you and starting except the decision to start. And that is not a small thing. Actually, it's everything, because it means the version of you that's built, that has established, that is earning, that is serving, that is not some distant future version of yourself. She's the version of you that starts today because uh, even before the website is perfect, or before the niche is locked in, before the certification arrives, before the fear goes away, she starts today. And here is the fact about the coaching industry that not enough people talk about. This market, and it's not just the coaching industry. Let me back up, because it's not just the coaching industry, it is online businesses in general. So it doesn't matter if we're talking about online coaching, it doesn't matter if we're talking about digital products, it doesn't matter if we're talking about courses, it doesn't matter if we're talking about content creation, whatever the online business is that you want to create. This market, this industry, it doesn't reward the most prepared woman. It rewards the woman who showed up, right? So I'm just going to pause right there and just see if there are any um, comments or questions in the chat. I want to thank y'all for joining me again for Nick at Noon on this beautiful Thursday. It is hot in Denver today, like hot, like uncharacteristically hot. Usually, March is one of the snowiest months that we have here, and I don't know if we've gotten any snow at all this month. I could be wrong, but anyhow, I digress. I want y'all to come back tomorrow for Proof Friday, because I'm going to be sharing something about what this third week of building this Nick at Noon platform, what building it in public has looked like, and what the data is telling me about what is possible when you commit to showing up consistently. I may have made the decision to start these lives very quickly and took action on it, but it was also done very strategically. And if you're done preparing and you're ready to build, the link for the Blueprint Advantage is in the description if you are on YouTube. And you can always go to my website at herincomeedit.com and you can get more information there. Thanks again for your time on this beautiful, beautiful Thursday. I hope that you will join me tomorrow, Friday, week 3. We are in this thing. All right. Enjoy the rest of y'all's day. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.